Hi, I'm Ann.
Hi, and I'm Jim. Welcome to our home. I think we've just always believed in sustainability. I think this also gave us an opportunity to try a lot of things and let Sustainable 9 try a lot of things that they don't normally get to do.
And I feel responsible for being a steward of the environment.
They tried to just make a house that starts energy efficient instead of trying to compensate for it with other techniques at the end. How could we integrate work and play and sustainability all in one place? In the southwest corner of the old Ford site where a manufacturing building used to be.
The hydroelectric dam is right across the street.
Yeah, we're a sustainable house, hopefully in what's a sustainable neighborhood, not just in terms of energy, but of having as many people as possible living here and being part of a community, and it's just a really gorgeous place to live.
My name is Chad Hansen. I'm one of the co-founders of Sustainable 9 Design Build, and along with my brother Ryan and our other business partner Vince Birdsley, we founded the company about 22 years ago. Well, there's a lot that makes this home unique. Our clients were amazing to start with, but one of their initial goals was to make this one of the most sustainable homes that ever has been built in the state of Minnesota. Everybody's familiar with solar panels and, LED lighting, for example, some of the basics, but we go into a serious deep dive into the mechanical systems, the different ways of insulating the home, the different types of window packages that are possible. Building science has come a long way in the last 7 to 10 years, and one of the biggest bangs for your buck, if you will, is exterior continuous insulation, or ECI for short. I like to think of it as we're taking the home and we're wrapping it in a nice warm blanket. And so one of the other additional insulation things that was new to us in this particular project is that the interior wall cavities, we used a product called hemp wool, and what that allowed for is a carbon negative insulation product. So because hemp at its core is absorbing carbon as it's being grown, by the time it's delivered here, it's actually using less carbon than it takes to actually create the product. We as an industry, and frankly as a planet, need to focus on these things more. It's our responsibility as a design build community, as a housing industry, figure out ways to conserve and to lessen our environmental footprint.
Everyone, I'm Brian Allen. I'm the president and co-founder at All Energy Solar. We're a Minnesota-based electrical contractor. We were the contractor that installed the solar system on the home, as well as adding the energy storage batteries to the home. There's 20 solar panels on the roof. We have 2 batteries, as well as 2 smart breaker boxes, and the combination of those pieces of equipment allow the home to be self-sustaining in an event of a grid outage, provide renewable energy to the home, and even provide backup power when the grid is down. So Minnesota is a great state for solar for a number of reasons. There's some incentives in the state with utilities. On top of that, we still do get really good sunlight. In compared to maybe other states where it might be sunnier, but it's hotter. And so the combination of our good sunlight as well as our cooler temperatures allow for solar systems to be really efficient.
We have a solar array on the roof, as well as a battery backup system from Tesla. So Tesla provides provided 2 power walls through our partner All Energy Solar here. And those power walls are the battery backup system. And so during the day, the solar panels are collecting the energy from the sun, and then what's not being used during the day is going straight to that battery backup system. So then at night, this house, since it's an all-electric home, is then being powered by those Tesla batteries. If we have a power outage, this house is still going to have power because it's connected to both the solar panels and the geothermal heating and cooling system, which is also powered by that solar system. but any money that we're spending with Xcel Energy is being sent back to the grid in terms of the excess power that we're producing. So they might receive a bill one month, but then a credit the next month, for example. So over time, they might, in the next 6 to 10 years, a lot of the upfront costs that they're spending to build this home will be recouped in terms of the energy savings that they achieved.
With a span panel system, you can control your energy loads remotely and locally directly from the phone app. This allows you to manage how long your home can be backed up in a power outage. It's incredibly efficient and a great way to add energy storage and solar and combine it with that smart panel system. Anytime you can add solar and energy storage and span on the front end or some type of smart breaker box on the front end while building the home, you're giving that home a much greater success rate when it comes to just reducing their carbon emissions, creating energy independence and energy savings as well. We all have to pay for electricity no matter what, and if you can generate that energy yourself and also power your home in the evenings with your own battery system and have that self-reliance component, you can create somewhat of a separation from the utility grid. You can hedge against a lot of those rising costs in energy, that ability to provide backup power for your home. These are all incredibly important things, and as we build new construction, it's much simpler to add these things in on the front end than to try to retrofit them.
Hello everybody, I'm Chris Friend, owner of Sustainable Heating and Cooling. We did what's called a dual triple function geothermal system that heats the in-floor for the whole entire house and does all the forced air heating and cooling of the house. So geothermal takes the energy from the ground, which is a very unique concept. It's been around for many, many years, just much more efficient. It's much more user-friendly, environmentally friendly, and just all around a better system. Biggest thing is the comfort level of geothermal versus traditional systems. We're controlling the temperature much easier because we're not using outdoor ambient temperature to cool. The heating is just more cost effective in the long run using geothermal. It is a multi-staging thermostat system that not only controls the heating and cooling of the space, also controls the air exchanger, controls the dehumidification and humidification, all based on ASHRAE standards, which is the way we set everything up. The system, when it's heating and cooling, actually ramps up and down and watches the space temperature and can adjust as it's moving forward, looking ahead at is it losing temperature or is it gaining temperature, and it adjusts back and forth without making a difference in temperature in the house. The world is turning more to electric for heating and air conditioning. Well, air conditioning's always been electric, but their push to the electric side of the world is becoming very large, and a lot of builders don't really look at electric as being a valuable source for heating just because of the cost of operation. But if it's done in the right aspect, it's really viable. And then the operating cost is usually 50%, if not closer to 75% less than a traditional system. So you look at that over a long period of time and it pays itself off after a few years. This particular house, we have, like again, the triple function unit where it does everything. One system controls the whole entire heating, cooling of the house, which is kind of very unique to the whole industry in itself. This is a radiant dominant house, which we have in-floor heating in the lower level in the concrete, and in each floor in warm board floor where the tubing actually fits into the flooring, which is extremely unique to the industry.
I talk about it like it's this green sort of granola kind of, porcelain and elm house, but it's also filled with electronics. Every utility in the house, every light runs its own cable back to the utility room, and it goes into what are called span panels, where you get to see the load of every single thing in the house. So we know when we turn on a light how much energy we're using. We know when we turn on the dryer or just watch passively what the refrigerator's doing. We can see what the geothermal system's doing. So it makes us very aware of the energy that we are using. And then it's always gratifying when we see, like, as the sun comes up, the solar panels start to wake up and feeding into the system and, start storing energy in the batteries that we'll use at night. And or just like you mentioned, from a peace of mind, sustainability, when we see that there's a storm coming, the system just starts, pumping all that energy into the batteries to make sure that if there's ever a power outage, we won't have to worry about it.
Hi, my name is Seth Welty. I work for ICF and I am the third-party implementer for the CenterPoint Energy and Xcel Energy High Efficiency New Homes program. The program has a couple different incentive tiers that are based on percent above code, which is based on 2012 International Energy Conservation Code. And then there's some other tiers based on Energy Star certified products. So this home qualified for Xcel's Efficient New Home Construction Program, where the home received $4,600 of rebates that because it met the high performance 35% better than code tier. It also received rebates for the heat pump water heater, thermostat, clothes washer and dryer, and refrigerator. So a lot of these performance metrics and appliances all lead to the home achieving $2,000 on annual savings per year compared to the standard Minnesota home. That is because of the home's energy use for heating was 50% reduction or more. For cooling, it reached 60% reduction or more, and for water heating, it received 70% more reduction. And again, that's the standard Minnesota home that is built. If the HERS is a 4, the standard home or the average in our program is a HERS score of 49. Going into the percent above code, where this home achieved at least 46% better than code, our standard home that comes into the program is 20% better than code. So it's a significant leap past a lot of the high performing homes that we already have come through the program. Energy efficient homes benefit the community by being more comfortable ultimately for the homeowners, also more durable and long lasting for the future as well. It reduces impacts on demand on our utilities, which Xcel is really excited about because we're not just building to code, but we're taking a big leap beyond code. Energy efficiency opportunities have a long time in Minnesota been a carrot that builders have gone off after. Rather than being required to go above and beyond code, they've already gone above and beyond code, which sets them up for a lot of the coming code changes in the future. Homes like this are definitely a trailblazer when it comes to setting what a modern home can be built to.
I think because hopefully you're planning on living there for a long time, and a home built for the future is going to take care of you in the future. I mean, all these materials are high quality. You're not going to be, replacing them in 5 or 10 years. They're not going to fall apart on you. When the systems are passive, you don't have to worry about maintaining them. There's not a bunch of mechanicals I have to worry about other than the geo system, which is just, water flowing through some tubes that they just make sure the engine's running. Yeah, it's a really, we like it because it's a low maintenance house that's going to take care of us for the rest of our lives. Probably be composted out and back somewhere.
Jim and Ann were really, really great clients in that regard in terms of putting their money where their mouth was, right? And so what I mean by that is they had such a strong desire to make this sustainably focused house that they spent maybe a little more than the average consumer would on some of those things, but they're going to get a payback over time with some of those upfront investments that they made. Everything from a metal roof to solar panels to a geothermal heating and cooling system. This is an all-electric house, so that's also very rare. It's something that we've been focusing a lot on at Sustainable 9 for the past several years, is trying to move away from some of the fossil fuels like coal and natural gas, and then powering most of the home off of both solar panels and then a geothermal heating and cooling system. And so both the interior being that hemp wool and then the exterior continuous insulation are two of the biggest components of this house that really helped build on the sustainability story.
Thanks for joining us today.
And thanks to Housing First Minnesota for everything they do to make sure everybody can have a home like this.